So let's talk about posture, because posture is so important for everything, but especially for playing violin. When we're putting in lots of practice time during the week, it can be really taxing on our bodies if we're not using good posture and good habits. So I want to just talk about posture, and I'm going to give you 3 things that I've noticed in some of my students and in my own musical journey up until now that have been pitfalls along the way, and I want you to avoid them. So learn from my mistakes. All right, so here we go. Number 1, talking about posture. Before we even pick up our instrument, we need good posture just in our shoulders, in our torso. And that goes for if you're sitting too. If you're playing in an orchestra or any kind of chamber group, or you're just sitting practicing, really good posture is important too. When we're sitting or standing, we want to think of those shoulders being rolled back. I know a lot of us spend time on our phones and on laptops and we get these hunched over shoulders, but we really want to think about bringing that back. So you can start even before you pick up your violin by rolling your shoulders back a few times, and then think of your head as having a string and a balloon coming out the top, and really, instead of hunched down, think nice and tall. So the next thing, when we put the violin on our shoulder, a couple things to watch out for. If you notice you're starting to develop shoulder and neck tension, one of the reasons for that can be that your violin is not seated properly on your shoulders, and that your shoulder is trying to accommodate. So if you notice next time when you put your violin to your shoulder that you start doing this, then might be a good idea to reevaluate your shoulder rest, your setup here. So for me personally, I have a long neck, and so I've had quite a time figuring out a shoulder rest that's tall enough so that I feel comfortable and stay secure with this violin at my shoulder, and I don't have to feel like I need to lift my shoulders. And if you want recommendations about shoulder rests, leave me a note in the comment. I'd be happy to make recommendations for you. And then last point I wanted to talk about is just the left hand, because this is another place where tension can develop. A couple things to watch out for and to try to think of doing instead. We want to make sure this thumb stays low. Now, again, this comes down to anatomy. If you have a bigger hand, your thumb might be a little higher up the instrument, but since I have a small hand, my thumb generally sits lower under the neck. Okay, and I use my elbow a lot, especially on the lower strings, to carry my fingers over. So another thing to watch for is that we don't want the thumb and the index finger to squeeze a lot on the neck. This squeezing just spreads to the rest of the hand and it gets super tight. So to avoid that, can you think of leaving a space here? Because it's so much easier to stay loose. And we want a space so that we can have the most beautiful wide vibrato in the world. So think loose left hand, keep a space there. Make sure this is set up at the right height, and then good posture. All right, if there's anything else you think of that you have questions about, please leave me a note in the comments section below. I would be happy to discuss more of these technical things with you if you have questions. Keep practicing and making beautiful music, and I will see you in the next video.